Hey, what's up, y'all? Been getting a lot of questions on, hey, where's the Gen 3? How come you're not riding it? We're definitely going to ride it. We just really like to go through the entire machine when we first buy it. Nothing against Can AM or Big Rock or anything like that. We just like to trust but verify all the work that's been done on the machine before we really take it deep. You guys know we really test these machines to their limit, and we push them as hard as we can, so we want to make sure that we're not going to have any issues when we go to do so. So yeah, as you guys can tell, I've ripped this entire thing pretty much down to its frame. I didn't take any back plastics off. There's really no need. There's just the exhaust back there and just a little bit of wiring. So I've taken off all the rest of the plastic. If you guys want to kind of get a good look at it, it's super easy to do. All you'll do to take these panels off is you've got a body clip here. You got a 30 tip screw that goes here and here. And as you guys can see, we've ripped off more of the panels on here just to have a lot more access. To get this body cover off, it's super simple, right? You've got one push pin here, you've got two 30 tip screws with nuts here, and then right in this area underneath the fender, as you guys can see, there's some 20 tips there. There's two of those, and then the whole thing will pop up, and there's one push pin clip that goes here that you'll have to pull back. But super easy to take off, takes just a couple seconds, and to get it to this state that it's at right now, which pretty much every single thing is accessible. As you guys can see, this is all of the hardware that was utilized to do that. So you guys can see this thing comes apart super easy. I am stoked about that feature of it. But what are we doing? Yeah, so we're going to go through every single connection when we first get them, right? We're going to dielectric them. We like to come through the plugs and do the seals and just a little bit light coat on the top. Remember, you don't want to fill these things up completely with dielectric grease. That's a common misconception. You know, fill your entire electrical connector with dielectric grease. That's not something you want to do. Dielectric grease is not a conductor, right? So electricity will not pass through it, and that's why dielectric grease is used heavily on, you know, around your spark plug, porcelain, your any connections that are close that are, you know, like these guys right here, that could, you know, transmit power from one diode to the other. So that's what we're doing here is we're going through all of our connections. We're not filling them full of dielectric grease. We're putting just a skim coat in between each plug so that continuity can't travel from basically one lead to another. You do not want to be filling your connections fully all the way up with dielectric grease. Same with your plugs. You don't want to take the end of your plug and fill that whole thing up with dielectric grease and then put it on. Just take a little Q-tip and put a little on the porcelain port of the spark plug. That's literally just to stop the spark from coming out of the boot and igniting on water if it gets filled up or anything like that, because that'll cause issues with your engine. So yeah, we're going through, we're checking all of our plugs, wires. As you guys can see, we've kind of gone through. I've taken all these, and after I dielectriced them properly, I went through and re-tidied up all the wires. These wire harnesses are in here really good, and I feel like everything's safe and secure now. I did take the plug out of here. It's easy to get to the front cylinder. Kind of figured that out. You take these two plugs off here, and you can put your whole hand right in here, and you can see that the cylinder's in there. It's probably really hard to see. Other things that we've been doing. We've been going through and checking all of our CVT clamps and boots to make sure those are all installed properly. You know, doing our just general observations. Cool things are these are all flexible, which is kind of nice. And they all have grooves to stop any sort of chafing. A lot of the old plastic ones, you would wear holes in them. So I kind of like that these are rubber and have flexibility to them. But yeah, we went through. You guys can see all these things have kind of like a backstop. So we're making sure the boots are all the way back, tightened up, and our clamps are ready to go, and they're all installed properly. You can see here's your exhaust for your CVT right here. And I was worried about a little bit of water getting trapped right here, but Can Am's ahead of it. They got a nice little hole so it'll all drain out properly. Heat shielding's done really well on this now that we've looked at it. This isn't just your only heat shielding. There's actually a lot more heat shielding if you can see it down in here. So the exhaust is heat shielded and reheat shielded to protect the plastic, and all the plastics have aluminum reflective tape on them to also prevent that, along with the big pipe that we had already told you guys about. The heat dispersion on this is much better than the G2s, and I'm stoked about that. Other observations, now we have some more of the plastics off. You can see they moved the solenoid to here, which is really funny. That's where I put it on my 700, not knowing that that's where they were going to put it. So that's a really good spot for it. I had it up there for, you know, well over a year, and I've never had any issues with it. After I had a good connection, I dielectriced all those as well so that no continuity could bounce back, because these are live wires all the time. You get mud caked up there, sand will transmit electricity. So after you get good conductivity, right, you don't want to put it in between your metal to metal. You just want to put it on the outside so it won't, you know, go to the other leads. So here is your drain for your airbox. I know we already talked about that. If you guys want to see a little bit more about the airbox, right, we have this 90 that we talked about. Comes out super deep airbox, lots of room. It's going to take quite a bit of water in there to get up to this level. That's different than the 700 XMR. It's much higher. Big fan of that. Also, another thing we noticed different than the XMR is that the gasket is actually a full piece gasket on this. It's a full piece rubber gasket. There's no brakes in it like the old one. The 700 had a little slit and you had to put dielectric grease in there to stop it from leaking. You don't really have to worry about that, which is kind of nice. All these hoses have positions in here that the plastic holds them in place, which is kind of nice. Other things I did while I was in here, and I had this whole thing apart. Like I said, no fault to CAN AM or Big Rock or anybody like that, but I cut a bunch of these lines and I made them the correct length so that there wasn't extra lines, you know, flopping around causing chafage or anything like that. So all these are perfectly fit now. I did add a bunch of you know, wire loom in certain places I thought it might chafe. So you guys can see that I've added a bunch of wire loom and I rerouted a bunch of the stuff just to make it a lot better, a lot more accessible. I went through in here and then let me see if I can get my finger in here with just you guys. Sorry, give me a second. So as you guys can see, I've dielectriced that whole seal on the fuse box. And then what I usually do is just do a little dab on top of these. I don't put the dielectric grease down inside where the fuses go. I go on outside so that I can't get any arc when the water gets in here jumping side to side. So that's something I also do too. Always make sure these are down and you hear the click because that makes it fully installed all the way. Yeah, but overall, I did a really good thorough look at the machine. I think CAN AM did a great job with their quality assurance on how well everything looks and how everything went together. I didn't find many problems. Everything that we had talked about with the 700, you know, the classic brake switch grounding out, that's been dielectric from the factory. The problem with the power steering unit throwing codes, that's been dielectric now from the factory. The plugs, wires, and coils were all dielectric from the factory. And so weren't any of these connections that are just a positive and negative and they're really close together. Those were dielectric from the factory as well. So CAN AM's definitely on top of their quality assurance. I think, you know, when I bought my Renegade, I had found quite a few problems. And that wasn't any, I bought that from Performance East, and that wasn't any problem. Performance East, that was a lot to do with, you know, the, when it was built on the manufacturing line, I think they were just trying to pump them out so fast. So no, CAN AM's doing really, really good. I'm super happy with how it turned out. Obviously, they want these new machines to perform well. They don't want, you know, they don't want any backlash, but everything I'm seeing, I'm super stoked about. You can really see that motor now. It's absolutely massive. Maintenance, as we talked about, super easy. You got your oil fill here. You got your coolant drain here. You got your oil check and fill here. You've got your transmission fill and inspect here. And then you've also got the plugs on the bottom with a hole in the floorboard so you can get it out nice and easy. It does have those traditional rubber mounts that we're used to seeing. I don't know if you guys can see that. On the 700, time will tell. These are a lot, they seem like they might be a little bit beefier. I can't quite tell. It's not quite the same mount that was on the 700, but it's the same idea to stop the vibration. That's a big, huge, heavy motor. It's going to produce a lot of torque. So time will tell to see how those do. There are the snowmobile fixes if that's something that's in the future. But yeah, overall, I'm stoked with how this thing looks. Other things you guys want to do when you first get your machine right, make sure all your connections are greased properly, make sure all your vent lines are ran, look for chafing right through all of your wires, especially all your vent lines, right? That's a problem. Make sure it's not touching the exhaust anywhere. That'll cause a problem down the road. And other things I like to do, because you want to trust, but you got to verify this stuff. Check all your fluids and your differentials. Just open them up, right? Take a paper clip with a 90 on it, open up the fill hole, make sure we got fluid in there, put the cover back on. I did the same thing with the engine oil, front diff, rear diff, gearbox, all that stuff's been checked. Check all your nuts, bolts, all your things of that nature. Things really growing on me. A lot of smart gentlemen built this machine, and I'm really excited to see what it'll do. I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. It's got a shit ton of power, a lot of torque. We've rode it multiple times now on the road and on the grass and all that stuff. And even normal mode, it stands straight up and high. Low's it's an absolute monster. Low's like really low, but it's the exact low you're gonna want when you're deep in the mud. A lot of people say they don't like the looks or some of the new features on it, but this is 100% a purpose-built machine, and it's built to take over the mud, and that's exactly what I think it's gonna do. So excited to get out there and ride it. Maybe this weekend, hoping I get some free time. I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna ride it. But yeah, loving what we see so far. Love the new handlebars. I love the new winch switch. I love the new snorkel up high. I love the power. I love the comfort. The seats on amazing, and I love how easy it is to take this thing on, off, take it apart, fix it, put it back together. I think Can Am knocked it out of the park. Now we just got to ride it. Let's rip it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Should be us riding this thing. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's a short video, but I appreciate it. If you guys want to see anything, just give us a holler. I can take a video of it real quick. But loving what I'm seeing so far. Later.
Yeah, I'm in your town, I'm coming your way, just wait up. Me and my team ain't taking no L's, I told them you don't wanna play us. We going downtown with a flight in the morning, said fuck it, I'm just gonna stay up. Remember last year, I told them the price, and now they all wanna pay up. They hit me now, they coming too late, all I reply is to save up. Me and my guys, we did it ourselves, so no one can say that they made us. They gave me the shit, they trying to guard me, I told them you gotta go straight up. We eating for days, I've been in the gym, I swear that I'm getting my weight up, yeah. Oh, I seen it all, you avert. Hop up in a whip, watch it skirt. I might risk it all for you first. Meet me in the night, shit get worse. I told them all I'm getting it back. I said that I'm coming, I'm in it. I'm riding my neck.